Yeah.
What is it like in Congo?
I'm glad you mentioned also, because when we say teenage pregnancy, it also, whether you're in wedlock or not. Well, in the Congo, we know that 60% of the population is under 25 years old. So you will see, a lot of teenage pregnancy. And what you realize is those young girls, they have to grow up. All of a sudden, they have to take adult responsibility. And economically, it's a big challenge because, they get out of school. Now they're in the market. They have to fetch for themselves. So,
I'm very right. I guess everywhere it's a similar experience. Young girls will be exposed to pregnancy because of, as you said, they cannot say no, or because of cultural experiences of child marriage. Different reasons, even getting raped or in conflict situations, they can get pregnant.
In economic situation where they feel like, somebody's going to buy me a pad, somebody's going to buy me lotion.
Exactly. For different reasons, but the consequences are harsh. These girls often are exposed to health, psychological issues, and they always, most of them, according to research and data, they drop out of school. So they lack on, career opportunities, economic opportunities, financial independence. And this is what we'll be talking about today. Teenage pregnancy is when a young woman under the age of 20 gets pregnant, but it can occur even in girls as young as 10. According to the World Health Organization, adolescent pregnancy is higher in low and middle-income countries, and it remains a major public health issue in Africa. It's rated the most significant cause of mortality among girls aged 15 to 19. Babies of adolescent mothers also face higher risk of preterm birth and other health complications. A study by Human Rights Watch also found that tens of thousands of girls drop out of school every year due to pregnancy. This can be due to inadequate support from family and school environments, negative self-perception, or childcare burdens. On this week's edition of Our Voices, we will explore teenage childbearing and its consequence both on the teen mother and her child. We will also see its impact on girls' education, their future economic opportunities, and highlight continental efforts to educate teen mothers.
That's right. Let's look at Tusawe Munkodiya, who knows what it is to feel alone in the world. She was abandoned by her mother at age 6 and raised by her grandmother. She now rescues abandoned babies, vulnerable children, and teen mothers in Malawi. Shimenwe Padata has this report.
Tusawe Munkodiya was left by her mother at the age of 6. Her grandmother raised her, but she never forgot what it felt like to live without a mother. She's now trying to help other people who have been abandoned or marginalized.
We provide shelter, food, like any type of support that a mother or a father provides to their children. That's what we do.
Munkodiya founded You Are Not Alone, Oyana, on the outskirts of Mzuzu, Malawi's northern region, providing care and support to about 200 children. Her organization also offers a home to abandoned or orphaned children, some with disabilities and older adults. She is also building a technical college where young mothers can continue their education after completing secondary school.
We want our children to go to college, but if they struggle to go to some colleges because of maybe a disability or a challenge, we're building a technical college for them so that they can be able to learn a skill that can support them to be independent.
16-year-old Deborah Magarasi is an orphan from Chew district, about 500 kilometers away from the center. She has spent 6 months at Yana.
There were some problems that I have been meeting when I was in my home village. I was lacking school fees. So my mom and dad have passed away. Only one person I have in my life is only my grandmama.
Some community members around Mzuzu say the Yana initiative has had a positive impact.
We have seen that the improvement now is going on forward because we have seen the children are learning, we have got nursery school. So these are the things now we are benefiting here.
Malawi currently has one of the highest teenage pregnancy rates in sub-Saharan Africa at 29%, according to the UN. Lack of parental care and support is driving many children to the streets, says Emma Galia, Executive Director of the Malawi Human Rights Resource Center.
There are some people who have children who they don't take care of. That is what is causing most of these problems that we are seeing. Fathers who are absent, even mothers who may want to be absent.
In recent years, Malawi has passed several laws to protect children, including the National Strategy to End Child Marriage in 2024. Government officials say they have also introduced a parenting program to educate parents on children's rights. Chimwemwe Padata, VOA News, Mzuzu, Malawi.
Thank you, Chimwemwe, for that report. Well, education does not only strengthen girls' economic opportunities, but it can also help reduce teen pregnancies. To understand how that works, we are joined by a creative entrepreneur who founded an organization that is responding to the rise of teen pregnancy in Southern African countries. Her name is Cwenga Koyana, and she founded Talitha Together to help motivate pregnant teens continue their education and pursue their career goals. The project won the Dream for Change projects at the UNESCO and Women at Your Global Conference in Paris, France in 2023. Ms. Koyana is joining us via Skype from Johannesburg, South Africa. It's really a pleasure having you on Our Voices.
Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. So the rise of teen pregnancy in South Africa, especially during the COVID time, is what led you to start the Talitha Together. Tell us, how bad was it?
It was extremely shocking to come across statistics of over 600 9-year-old and 10-year-old girls giving birth in South Africa in 2020. And after seeing those shocking statistics, our team, part of the program, decided to design a project that would emancipate these young girls and support them, because it is a huge crisis that such young girls who are basically children, they are giving children, they're giving birth to children, and that is something we have to intervene and ensure we counter the causes that are producing adolescent pregnancy in our country.
So these young, 9 and 10 is a very, very young age. Is it because of child marriage? Why were they giving birth at such a young age?
It's definitely due to issues of child marriage as a result of being born and raised in economically disadvantaged families that would be willing to go to the extent of basically selling their girls, their daughters for the bride price, as well as the high rates in sexual gender-based violence in our country. That is also a major result of unconsented sexual engagement and intercourse with such young girls who also just don't have an understanding of what sex is. They are such a young age, and because they're so tender-aged, their parents or their schools haven't at that age introduced
that
a comprehensive education about sex. And that is a major issue. As soon as a girl has her period, she can fall pregnant. But if she doesn't know how sex takes place and how a baby being conceived takes place, then she won't know how to run away from that situation or how to, solve a potential problem of pregnancy.
Cwenga, I'm sitting here just shaking my hands and going, oh my God, 6, 10, 9 years old, just experiencing those kind of situation. Can you just tell us a little bit about the experience that they go through, the consequences of those kids or those children going through that at that age? What have you seen as the major consequences, whether it be health-wise, economically, psychologically? What was the consequences?
So the consequences are many, and mainly because they don't understand, what has actually happened. So a lot of them end up only realizing that they're pregnant very, very late into the pregnancy. And we've heard and seen cases where the 9-year-old or the 10-year-old or 11 or 12-year-old mom is actually giving birth in class or during school or on campus because they had no idea that they were actually pregnant. They would assume that they've just gained a lot of weight or, but they have no idea. And so some of those major consequences revolve in a high HIV and AIDS rate. Sexual diseases, STIs, STDs are part of it. And the girls also face neonatal conditions with their babies, issues of stunting, malnutrition, because they don't know how to take care of their babies, because their bodies are so underdeveloped to give birth that miscarriages or something in the delivery of the baby goes wrong, and the baby comes out, deformed, either because of the mom having, drank alcohol during the pregnancy and knowing that she's pregnant. FAS becomes an issue, fetal, alcohol syndrome. There are just many health consequences as a result of the mom not knowing.
So many consequences, like you said, and we're assuming that, school is also a challenge. How does your organization, Talitha, help teenage mom to continue pursuing education or having a career?
So we have 6 different pillars and structures to support adolescent mothers to be able to evolve into educated and independent, successful women. So our second pillar addresses extra school lessons, where we get assistance from outsourced tutoring companies or volunteers who can assist the moms in subjects that they're particularly struggling with, so that they can, during the pregnancy, if they're experiencing challenges at school, get extra academic support, or even post the pregnancy, if they're struggling with just the hecticness of raising a baby, sleepless nights, they can get extra academic support through our program, as well as our entrepreneurial skills development pillar allows the girls to learn a skill that they can monetize and be able to economically support themselves and their babies. As you would know, they come from economically disadvantaged homes and backgrounds, and the fathers of the child are equally absent in almost all the cases that we deal with. They are in desperate need of economic support and empowerment for the purchase of, the baby's nappies and essential resources, clothes, toiletries. And so we have provided through our entrepreneurial skills development opportunities for them to learn something that they can monetize and become economically independent.
That's so awesome. Well, Cwenga, let me let you know that in the language of Kirundi, Cwenga means smile. And you're putting a lot of smiles back in these young children's faces. And we thank you so much. Cwenga Koyana from South Africa. She's the co-founder of Talitha Together, an organization that supports teen mothers in South Africa, in Africa in general. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. It's now time for a quick break. When we come back, we will continue our conversation and see why it is important to keep teen mothers in school. But first, we want to remind you of our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and our handle is @VOA Africa. Use the hashtag VOA Our Voices. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're watching VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. Thank you so much for joining us each week right here on Red Carpet. We bring you the latest in
health, wellness, sport, beauty, medical breakthroughs. Healthy Living cares about your well-being. What are the main health concerns in Africa and around the world? Find out the latest on coronavirus. Connect with our experts and ask them questions.
How long does the virus stay?
Join me, Linor Mudu, in Washington every week on Healthy Living, right here on VOA.
Welcome back. You are with Our Voices, and today we are discussing teenage pregnancy and its impact both on the mother and the child. Now, joining us on Skype from Virginia is Brittnee Marsaw. She was the Aspen Institute 2023 Ascend Parent Advisor and the participant of the Family and Workforce Centers of America's Skill Up program. Marsaw was born to a 15-year-old mother in St. Louis and was raised by a grandmother who also had given birth at an even younger age. Now she says she doesn't want that for herself. Brittnee, welcome to Our Voices.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. So what was it like to have a teen mother? How did it impact your childhood?
So having a teen mom actually resulted in my grandmother and lots of other family members having to raise me.
Yeah. So do you feel like you missed out from the relationship you could have had with a mother, or what do you feel like you missed out growing up?
I definitely feel like I missed out on a meaningful relationship. Also, I missed out on kind of the generational transition. And so what I mean is like, you learn from your mother, she learns from her mother, they learn from their mother. But unfortunately, because I was raised by like my grandmother and then my great-grandparents on my father's side, it became a thing where it was a lot of knowledge, education and experience that was missed by maybe 2 or 3 generations. And so there was a distance and a large disconnect between that parental bond of a child and parent.
So you don't have any children right now, right?
I do. I have a daughter, a 7-year-old daughter.
So with that experience, what are you telling yourself to prevent that to happen with her?
I look at it as I'm a first generational transition. And so what I mean is there's 3 generations of teen parents. I am the 4th generation, but I'm the first generation to not only not be a teen parent, but also to kind of instill just differences and also to have that parent-to-parent bond. For 3 generations, that parent-to-child bond, unfortunately, was broken due to so many teen parents being in the family. And so me being the first one not to be that teen parent, I am doing things a lot different. I have a lot more emotional intelligence, kind of in what I have going forward.
Wow, that is amazing. I love the way you have assessed yourself, you have assessed your family, you have looked at the generational curses that you want to break down, and you're really going down to the nitty-gritty roots of how to really get this out of the way. But I'm going to come back with a question, but I guess we can go to some viewers on the continent.
Yeah, let's talk to residents of Ghana about the challenges of teen pregnancy and ways to prevent it. We have Jenny, Samira, and Jessica on our Your Voices segment.
With the sex education, when the girl child or the teenage girl is exposed to educations like they knowing about the consequences of they having children at early age, some of the social, emotional, and health problems, they would put a stop or minimize they giving birth.
Ways that will help us prevent teenage pregnancy. I think one is to provide work, job for the youth, and also educating them on ways to prevent teenage pregnancy.
I feel like sex education goes beyond just using contraceptive and giving the whole adults a general perception about sex, but it also goes to abstinence, telling us how our life will be after birth and all that. And I feel like sex education, if not backed by parents and financial support, is not really effective. I also think the girl child or the teenage girl should be taught on how to use protection and also contraceptive appropriately to reduce the rise of teenage pregnancies.
Some of the causes of teenage pregnancies, unemployment. So I think when there's work for us to do, I think it will keep us busy and we'll be able to abstain from that.
Peer pressure is also a factor. Even with peer pressure, if the family is to orient their children on how everything about life is, the general perspective about life, the peer pressure, sex education, and also help them with little financial aid, I think teenage pregnancy at a whole will still come down.
Very, very well. Well, let me get back to you and ask again, what is your assessment on what can be done to reduce teen pregnancy? Because again, it sounds like you really have done a lot of soul searching, family searching, and you can really provide what you think is a solution.
A lot of times there is this thing where your parents will tell you something, or like the family members, everyone around you will kind of tell you something, but when you are in school, when you do have those peers, when you are pressured, that is a big thing. And so I think one of the biggest things is just abstinence. And it's a lot of times we preach safe sex, or we kind of, preach more of the approach of if you're going to do it, then kind of protect yourself. But I think it's better to just preach more of the abstinence, just to not do it. And that was more of the approach that, I took growing up. And so that's why I think that to avoid it, you would have to just literally say, hey, this is something you can't do. It's kind of the same, when you're talking about substances. This is something you just cannot do right now.
You're right, awareness is key. And you said you are a mother to a daughter, probably she's young, but how do you communicate that with her? You are a parent advisor too, so is that something you talk to the parents you communicate with?
So as the student parent advisor, actually that is kind of like a little bit different, because we actually are the gap that bridges the two generations of the parents and the post-secondary success and education on that level. Now with my daughter though, it's basically about boundaries. So yes, she's young, but I've taught her boundaries. Hey, you should not be bathing, at someone's house. You should not have anyone in the restroom with you. There's what areas shouldn't anyone touch? No one should be telling you anything that I can't know about. They shouldn't be telling you to keep secrets. So the biggest thing is, even though they're young, teaching them to set boundaries is the first way to establish, the ability to say no to an adult, the ability to say, hey, this is something I shouldn't be doing, or the ability to come to you and say, hey, I've made a mistake and now I need your assistance as family to help rectify this situation.
So now, you say there were 3 generations of teen moms and then you survived that. So would you, if comparing your life to, the life of your mother, your grandmother, what would you say went better? What did you achieve by not becoming a teen mom?
Yes. So first of all, the emotional intelligence. And what I mean is my mom was 15, her mom was 13, her mom was 12. Oh, wow. And I knew my great-great-grandmother. So that I was born when she was here, because the generation of children were born so quickly and so young. And so one of the biggest things is that scarcity trauma wrapped around scarcity of resources was a big thing that I was able to actually witness. Having my daughter older and as an adult, I had about 9 to 10 year advantage on being able to have a decent education, a decent, employment opportunity where I wasn't having to work minimum wage.
Well, thank you so much, Brittnee, for sharing that. This is where we end our show. We thank our guests, Cwenga Koyana, co-founder of Talitha Together, and Brittnee Marsaw, the Aspen Institute 2023 Ascend Parent Advisor, and the Family and Workforce Centers of America's Skill Up program participant, for joining us. Be sure to watch our voices on the VOA website at voaafrica.com or on our YouTube channel, where you can catch up on the latest episodes and the world's top news stories. We will see you again next week with another exciting program. Be sure to continue the conversation on our social media platforms. Until then, thanks for watching.